Welcome to episode number 46 of Hoop Talk Fanatics. I am here with my co-host, Chris Korn, and we have a special guest from the uh, Feed the Post, which is everything Purdue Hoops, um, Joe Jackson. We are excited to have you on to talk about how Purdue has been doing and what your overall thoughts on the other tournaments that will happen starting up tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm excited to talk some hoops. It's a good time of the year, March, and so much basketball going on. So
So my first question is, what were your overall thoughts on the regular season for Purdue?
yeah, this was a great year so far. Came in they're projected fifth or so in the Big Ten, kind of is the consensus, and they just wrapped it up the Big Ten season yesterday, winning by 3 games over the mess that was the middle of the Big Ten. Um, Zach Edey's putting up an all-time great season, in my opinion. I think he'll be National Player of the Year, Big Ten Player of the Year. Like, just all the awards are going to be his. It's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch develop. I mean, the two freshmen, Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, in the backcourt. I know Lawyer's struggled some as of late, maybe kind of hitting the freshman wall or whatever. But you have a 7'4" guy and two freshman guards, and you win the Big Ten. And I think that's a successful season already. But then they still have more higher aspirations for a March.
Definitely. What were your like preseason realistic expectations coming into the season? Because like they've surpassed mine and like everyone's obviously, but like what was your like realistic how good you thought they could?
I was more optimistic. I believe I had them fourth. And actually my co-host for Feed the Post, he had them third, and that was the highest I'd seen. But even then, nothing like what I expect or what happened. Like, I thought, I watched some of Braden Smith's high school stuff, and I was like, oh, this guy's going to be good. I did not expect it to be from day one. And that's kind of what happened, is he just jumped in and then was like, all right, I'm ready to go. I thought Zach Edey would be good. I did not think he would be, I thought he'd be fighting for like an All-American team. I did not think he'd be like pretty much runaway National Player of the Year that he has been. And so yeah, I would say I thought they were still going to be solid, like hovering maybe around like the 25 mark, like get a 7, 8 seed. And I was so like, if they got a 5 or 6 seed, I was like, that'd probably be solid. Obviously, they're doing a little bit better than that, but that's where I was at preseason.
That makes sense.
But what were your thoughts on senior day yesterday?
Senior day was awesome. For me, I was part of the student section. This is my last year too, so um, it was cool seeing all the only two seniors was the transfer David Jenkins, and then also a walk on Matt Frost. But cool to celebrate them, and then also just they brought out the Big Ten championship trophy. They had like the celebration. They dropped the confetti, all that stuff. So it was cool seeing that too. Cut down the nets, and Zach Edey, he just didn't use the ladder. Actually, he just cut the net
I
himself
saw
and
that.
didn't even use the ladder. So no, that was an awesome experience. A great way to kind of just have like the last home game of the year, in my opinion.
I'm not sure how many other coverage tournaments you have been tuned into, but I know Chris and I were talking about it last night, and uh, we would definitely cover some of the big games tonight, um, which is the WCC semifinals between St. Mary's and BYU and Gonzaga, San Francisco. So, what are your takes on those two?
Yeah, no, I think WCC, the top two, St. Mary's and Gonzaga, they're tough. They're good. They're both teams that I think could make legitimately good runs. They obviously, I think they do it in much different fashions. St. Mary's is really good defensively. Gonzaga is elite offensively. Um, in terms of the games tonight, I think that the two favorites should win. I think St. Mary's and Gonzaga should. Uh, I think BYU could maybe give them a run, and San Francisco has been feisty at times, but I think at the end of the day, like, they just don't quite have the talent to match St. Mary's and Gonzaga. The two most talented teams in the conference, two probably best coached teams in the conference. Um, and I think it'll set up a really fun rest of the WCC, or I guess that'd be the championship from there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, There should be some fun ones. I saw San Francisco was in Kansas City earlier this season, so I've been able to watch them play in person. And yeah,
Yeah.
they have like Shabazz is a star. He's gonna give Gonzaga some problems, but it would take a lot for them to really hang in that game. Probably same for BYU, but that title game had the chance to be fantastic.
Yeah, no, if I'm assuming that does happen, that'll be a really, really good one. That'll be one of the better, probably title games, period, honestly, out of all the conferences.
Uh, there's two other ones. Oh, actually, I wrote a script last night, and there's one more that we wanted to ask you. Chattanooga against Furman, the Southern Conference Championship final.
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of either, just to be transparent up front. But Furman's had a great year. 26-7. They've done really, really well in conference. I know it's them and Sanford kind of battling back and forth, and Furman's offense is legit. I did see. I think they played Penn State earlier, like way early in the year, I think.
I believe so.
Or maybe yeah, they did. They lost to Penn State way early. So that was really, that was one of the games for sure I watched. And their offense is legit. They can get going. Um, Chattanooga, it's a fun story. They're what, the 8th, 7th seed or something like that,
Yeah, they
making it all the way. So in terms of the game, I think it should be Furman. But you never know. Like that's why it's March, right? Like Chattanooga, they could, be the Cinderella sort of that tourney, and then punch their ticket to March. And when you have that playing for you too, like that's something I think I probably can't overlook either. Like I think Furman's better, but it's March. Anything can happen. Chattanooga gets crazy hot from 3 or something like that, and now they're in March or in the tourney.
100%. It's a fun storyline because these are the two that played last year. I don't know if you remember that game because Chattanooga hit the
Oh
40,
yeah,
40, 45 footer and down 2 in the final seconds
yeah.
to knock Furman out of a spot. So and like it's pretty much the same Furman team. So this is one they need. They really got to get because they've been one of the best teams in the conference for years, and they haven't been able to get in. So we'll see if they can get done.
For sure. No, that'd be big for them in the program. And, at some point, if you're that good consistently, at some point, it's got to happen.
Gotta.
I totally forgot to ask you. What were your thoughts on the Northwestern Rutgers game last night?
It was ugly, and that was the perfect Big Ten game just to wrap up the year. I think, just ugly. I didn't watch. I was kind of watching more in the background, so I caught plays here and there. But when I was looking up, it just was a bunch of misses, some Amori dunks, and it's I think it sucks that the Rutgers had Mag hurt, and they just haven't looked the same since. Um, their defense is still legit. They just don't have anybody that can consistently score. If they had one like consistent scorer, like Derek Simpson, I think could be that in a year or two. The freshman, he's just not quite there yet. If they had that, I would trust them more. And now they're possibly not even going to make the tourney, depending on how it goes in the Big Ten. And then Northwestern, I think they were the better team, and I think they are the better team. Period. Uh, Boo Booey's fun to watch. Can just kind of get going whenever. They play a really physical style of defense that can trap. They trap the post a ton, which is important in the Big Ten, and I know that's not important in a lot of other conferences, but in Big Ten where you play through the post, like trapping the Big Ten or trapping the post well, being able to rotate from there, they have one of the better defenders period in the country in Chase Audige. So, and I think they kind of just flexed their muscle a little bit yesterday, just being like, yeah, you just you're going to have a really, really hard time scoring on us.
What are your thoughts on the Big Ten tournament? And who would you like Purdue to play in the second round?
I mean, the Big Ten turn and the Big Ten tourney in general is just going to be kind of what the Big Ten season was this year, and it's just a mess in the middle. Nobody, I don't like. There's just so much. The 2 through 12 were decided by like 2 games or whatever. For me, Purdue, they'll play the winner of Michigan Rutgers, and I would feel comfortable with Purdue playing either at this point. To be honest, I know Rutgers, beat Purdue by 1 early in the year. I was confident even kind of before Mag down that Purdue would be able to win in a rematch. I think I would lean there just because Michigan has been playing better than Rutgers as of late. In Michigan, like they're going to have to rattle off prob probably two wins in a row to have a chance at the postseason. And I guess Rutgers is kind of in that spot too. But I think I'd rather play Rutgers. But in general, I think it's gonna be fun. I think looking at the bracket, there's some potential upsets. Like one of my sleeper teams will be Penn State. I think they just drew a really good matchup in Illinois that they beat twice. Jalen Pickett put up like 41 on them earlier this year. And then if they win that, they play Northwestern, who they've also beat. Um, I think if for your prediction, I think Purdue gets there through the top half. I like look at the bracket; it really broke their way. The teams that have beat them, Rutgers, who hasn't been the same in the past month, they're on their side. But aside from that, IU, Northwestern, Maryland, they're all on the other side. So I think Purdue gets the championship. I think I would put IU in there. I think it's a rematch of the rivalry game, and then uh, if that happens, as a Purdue fan, I really hope Purdue wins because two losses to IU in 1 year is tough. I can't imagine a third in the Big Ten championship.
Definitely, yeah. It's gonna be interesting Purdue's first game because you mentioned it, Michigan and Rutgers. It's like both teams probably need that win against Purdue to have any sort of confidence they can make the NCAA tournament. It'd probably be a surprise if either of them make it without that. So the desperation those two will play within. Because these conference tournaments are always interesting for like the top teams. It's like, yeah, they're motivated. They definitely want to win, but it's not the same as a team who absolutely has to win it. So it's always fun to see how these top teams do.
For sure. I mean, Matt Painter, the coach, just even said like it's not like they're going to try to lose the Big Ten tourney at all. They're going to try to win every game, but also it's like out of their goals for the year, the Big Ten tourney isn't at the top of the list.
So I Joe, if you didn't know, Chris is a Big 12 conference guy. He's a diehard Kansas fan. So, what are your thoughts on that tournament?
That's going to be, I mean, the Big Ten's, they're going to be messes for completely different reasons, right? Big Ten is a mess because there's just so much in the middle, and Big 12 is just because everybody's good. Even like Texas Tech, Oklahoma finished at the bottom. Like, it wouldn't be a shock if one of them went on like some run. I think Kansas is clearly the best team. But then the group of Texas, Baylor, like K-State, Iowa State, TCU, like that's a tough group. Those are all teams that I think could, make Sweet 16, Elite Eight in the NCAA tourney. But so it's going to be a fun one. I haven't been able to tune into like as much Big 12 basketball as I have wanted to, so I'm excited to tune into the tourney. I would guess Kansas, but there's so many good teams that it's really going to be a grind.
It's going to be so like any of these teams could win a couple. Like it's going to be chaotic. I'm fortunate enough I'll be there all week watching these because I was there last year. But like this,
Nice.
like this is the best Big 12. It's definitely since this realignment, the best it's been in like even for years, probably my lifetime. So it'll be exciting to see how this turns out. Like Kansas definitely the best, but in a conference tournament setting, all it takes because Baylor's guard play was maybe in a setting like this they can get hot, but super excited to see how that one turns out though.
Yeah, no, it should be good for sure. Lots of good teams, lots of fun, and lots probably seeding implications too for tourney. But
My last question is, what are your thoughts on how far Purdue will reach in the NCAA tournament?
um, it's interesting, right? Like there's obviously the track record of Purdue and Big Ten in general, right? They haven't had a ton of success over the past basically 2 decades. Well, deep success, I should say. Purdue's made Sweet 16 5 out of the past 6 years or something like that. It's tough. I think at this point, I'm pretty confident that like and it's a simple analysis, but like if Purdue makes threes, I think that they can legitimately beat every team in the country. But we haven't seen that lately. We really haven't. They've been, they had a hot stretch in like late January, early February type where they were knocking down, closer to 39, 38% of their threes. And now it's back to 30 to 33. And there's also the reffing thing. I'm not like I don't like talking about the refs, but I also do realize that like the way that Zach Edey plays, and which is how big he is, like Outside of Big Ten refs at this point, nobody's had practice reffing him, and it's different. It's just a different style reffing somebody that big who just takes up space. And so there's that thing to monitor. I'm not like a blame the refs guy, period. So I'm not like saying if Purdue loses, it's their fault. I'm just saying that's something to monitor. My guess would be probably like Elite Eight right now. I think I think they should make the Sweet 16 for sure. And then after that, it's just however the shots go. Like that's just the fun of March. But I still think they're a Final Four talent.
Definitely.
It's just honestly, it's just whether the jumpers go is honestly where I'm looking.
It's so hard to predict. Just get out the first weekend, and then who knows how the bracket looks like. Like for KU last year, we got in the Sweet 16. Providence was semi tough matchup. Then we had 10 seed Miami. It was just like all the 1 seeds were gone by that point. So it was just like so it's just impossible to predict. Just worry about it one game at a time and see who's in front of you later.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Purdue loses to a 15 seed last year, like so in the Sweet 16. If somebody told me before that we'd play a 15 seed in the Sweet 16, I was like, all right, cool, we're set. But
Yeah.
it happens. It's March.
So, Chris, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, let's talk about your team, Alex. Villanova. They got a huge week ahead.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive conference run for them, and they've been playing pretty well. What are your expectations, Alex?
I really have really high hopes of this team. I mean, they've been on a roller coaster ride all throughout the season, but they seem to like be getting everything in the right place at the right time. As you could see, they won their last 6 out of 8 games. I know they took a big L against UConn a couple days ago, but so Villanova plays Georgetown in the first round. So I don't see that game as a problem, but what really gets interesting is a possible second round game against Creighton, which would be a really high level basketball game. And I'm curious to see how well Villanova defends that game. I know that they got some really big talent defensively, but I'm not confident that they can beat Creighton because Creighton is a talented team this year, and I really like how they play. But it's just going to come down to turnovers and how many turnovers they have, and I think that if they play the way they have been playing against Xavier, for example, which they won that game, I think the sky's the limit for them, and they could have a really big chance to get into the third round.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen a ton of them. But I do know, like, just kind of keeping tabs on college basketball. Like I know they've been playing a lot better as of late. Um, Cam Whitmore I know he's been back for a while, but he seems to kind of be finding his groove more. So be interesting because they're close to the bubble, right? Like they're not in, but they're like if they win a couple, they'll have a chance.
Maybe it seems unlikely, but
Okay.
never know for sure. But
They're
they're in a tough spot because they can beat any of these teams, but theoretically to win the conference tournament, they'd probably have to beat. They would, unless like things just broke. They'd have to beat 3 of the top 4 from the quarters on, which they can beat any of them, but it's like winning all 3 is gonna be super tough. But they get hot.
I think if they beat Georgetown and then Creighton, I think they don't win the next round because it's going to be really tough on them, and there's a lot of other teams like UConn, Providence, Creighton, that is a really more talented than Villanova is at the moment. And I was actually listening to Field of 68 last night, and John Fanta said that he has Creighton going all the way, winning the championship.
He said that last night
for the Big East tournament. Yeah, he said that.
I could see it. They've been playing really good. I think all all the teams. Marquette's been playing great all season, especially conference play. UConn's starting to get hot again. Xavier's they've been a little bit up and down, but Fremantle's out for the season. And I feel like they've been in a roll without him, so I don't think that's a huge concern. And Creighton's been rolling recently too, so it's Providence is a team who's kind of really fallen off. It feels like they're still decent, but they're not in the top tier team. So it'll be interesting to see how this tournament goes.
No, it's another one that's just like I think this one's pretty top heavy. With a couple, seeing Hall Villanova that can make some runs depending on how game scripts goes and stuff. But it should be the top three of like Marquette, Creighton, Connecticut, and even kind of Xavier, like you said, like that's gonna be a fun one to see how that breaks out.
So before we let you leave, what is your prediction for the championship game for the Big East and Big 12 tournaments?
Big East, I need to pull up the actual bracket to make sure that it could actually work. I think Marquette makes it, and they would play. Would they play UConn? They'd play UConn in the second round. So I'd say Marquette wins it. I think their style is kind of just built for it, and so I'll go Marquette over Creighton in the Big East, and then I do need to pull up the Big 12 bracket really quick just to make sure. I don't want to say like, oh, this team over this team, and then it's like, well, they actually play in the second round. Let's. Where is it? There it is. I do just off the top of my head, I would assume I picked Kansas. Yeah, no, looking at this now, I would probably say Kansas over Kansas State. I think Kansas State gets enough done to make it to the championship, but I just think Kansas is the best team.
I would love that atmosphere in Kansas City on
Oh, yeah.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
And Alex, I just saw John Fanta picked Illinois to win the Big Ten tournament. So
Yeah,
Interesting.
that'd be a run. I mean, any of those. I wouldn't say any of those teams, but it wouldn't completely shock me if it just broke away for any of those teams in the bottom half.
Oh yeah, they're
mean,
all just.
I think Creighton is going to go all the way to play UConn.
That would be my prediction in the East, I think.
Yeah.
But Marquette Xavier game would be fantastic if it happens. I mean, there's a ton of great matchups in all these tournaments that have a possibility.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
We are definitely in for a treat starting tomorrow. The games get going. The first one is at 11:30 a.m. Eastern until at least 11 p.m. Eastern. So tomorrow it's going to really ramp up, and I'm excited for this journey.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun week. Good.
Thanks again for coming on, Joe.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.